Act 2, as Act 1 did, begins with another prologue, brought to you again by your good friend, the Chorus. And the Chorus basically tells you that Romeo and Juliet can't meet easily as their families are enemies, which you really ought to know by now if you've been paying any attention at all. But passion, the Chorus says, enables them to meet. And meet they do. In scene 1, you have the three Montagues. You've got that guy, Benvolio. You've got this guy, Mercutio, and the big guy, Romeo himself, all heading home from the big party. And then Romeo kind of just leaves. And these guys are just like, what happened? Where'd he go? And they presume he is going to see Rosalind. But they're wrong. And they don't really care, so they just kind of keep walking. And they walk off stage. And then scene 2 begins. Scene 2 is the really famous one. Scene 2 is the one where Juliet is up here on the balcony. And Juliet's kind of just mourning the fact that Romeo is a Montague. And she's mourning it in sonnet form. Yeah, that's right, sonnet. Big fancy sonnets. And I'm not going to read them because they're long. And honestly, I don't have time to. So, anyway, here's Romeo. And he's down here. And he is admiring Juliet's beauty. And Juliet has no idea he's even there. And so, it's kind of awkward when he says, hey, I'm here. And she's like, whoa, who are you? Oh, it's me, Romeo. Oh, okay. And then they exchange vows. And the nurse eventually, after all this awkwardness, calls Juliet inside, and Juliet does. And then she comes back and says she'll send a messenger the next day to arrange how they're going to get married. And then she leaves again. And Romeo's like, okay. And then she comes back. I love you. Good night. Okay. Good night, I guess. I love you too. And then they actually go away. And they don't come back. And then we move to scene 3. Now we're at Friar Lawrence's, I guess, monastery. And Romeo is talking to Friar Lawrence, who's kind of his spiritual guide. And I drew him a bit chunky because, you know, I've seen Robin Hood too many times. And the two of them basically talk. And Romeo tells him all about Juliet and his new love. And he asks his help in marrying her. That's right, they only just met tonight, and he's already asking to get married. And Friar Lawrence should have been like, whoa, man, slow the heck down. But instead he's like, hey, this might help end the fighting between your families. Yeah, I'll totally marry you guys. I'll help. Definitely. This could never go wrong and result in you guys dying within the end of the week, right? No. Definitely not. Definitely not. That's called foreshadowing. And then we begin scene 4. And these guys, Mercutio and Benvolio, are talking about Romeo and Tybalt. Tybalt challenged Romeo to a duel, and they're kind of worried, because Tybalt's pretty good with a sword. And Romeo's a bit lovesick, and they're kind of like, yeah, there ain't no way he's winning. And then Romeo shows up, and they talk with him about his new love and about love in general. They don't really know he's in love with Juliet, I don't think. And they kind of just start poking at him, you know, like any friend would. Hey, you're in love. Ha. Yeah, you know. And then the nurse comes in, and the two here leave. And she basically tells Romeo that there is a plan. And Romeo gives the nurse a message for Juliet. She's to go to Friar Lawrence that afternoon, and they are going to be married. And Juliet says, and not Juliet, the nurse and Romeo agree they're going to have a rope for Juliet to use to get down and up to the friar's cell. So yeah, so far all their plans have gone well. And so now in scene 5, the nurse returns to Juliet, and Juliet is very impatient. And the nurse gets a bit of revenge by withholding the message for a little while. Then she delivers it, and Juliet is like, well, I'm leaving at once. See ya. And so she leaves. And yeah, scene 5. And so now, here we are at Friar Lawrence's cell. Juliet walks in and joins Romeo. And the two are about to be married. You never actually see the marriage. Why? I don't know, but I think it'd go something like this. Do you take Romeo to be your husband? Yes. Do you take her to be your wife? Yeah. Okay, do you guys basically know each other on a first name basis? Yeah, I know his first name. I know her first name. Okay, I'm calling that good enough. And so the two are married. Now we're entering Act 3, and things are about to start going downhill. They're not falling off the cliff just yet. They're just starting to go downhill. Benvolio and Mercutio, yeah, those two unlucky fellers again, run into Tybalt. And Tybalt, as usual, is angry. And Mercutio, for some unknown reason, picks a fight with him. And the two fight. Romeo then appears. Yeah, again, really inconvenient. Or convenient, depending on how you look at it. But he's just like, hey! And Tybalt immediately insults him. And Tybalt wants to start a duel with him. And he's like, hey, no thanks. You're kind of like family and other weird things that are kind of mysterious and weird. If you don't know that he is now technically related to him. Because he married his cousin. If you're confused right now, so am I, pal. So am I. And then, Mercutio, however, cannot tolerate such behavior. He's like, hey, what are you doing trying to make peace, man? I want to fight. And the two fight. And Romeo tries to separate him, and he does. But only after Mercutio is mortally wounded. And Mercutio falls over and starts to die. And Tybalt flees. Mercutio then is then taken by Benvolio off stage. Oh wait, hang on a minute. That's not just yet. Something else happens in between that's kind of a bit of fate. Or fate to come. He's like, hey, it's just a mortal wound. I'm not gonna die. Okay, I'm probably gonna die. And you know what? Curse both families. Curse them. Montagues and Capulets. Yeah, both of you. And all your fighting and everything. It's stupid. Alright, Benvolio, drag me off to die. And he does. And then he dies. And then you hear from Benvolio, yeah. Oh yeah, he's dead, pal. Don't even think about it. He is dead. And Romeo is understandably upset. Because that's one of his close friends. And then in comes Tybalt again. I'm not really sure why he returned. But he did. And Romeo fights him. And then kills him. So now you've just got two dead bodies lying around. And then Benvolio's like, hey man, you just killed Tybalt. Dude, you're gonna get executed. Run away. And he does. One of the few smart things he actually does this week. And then in walks the prince. And he's like, hey, whoa, there's two guys dead. Seriously, I thought I said to stop the fighting. Okay, so I guess Tybalt was a bit more guilty because he did start it, but Romeo's still pretty guilty. I'm not gonna kill him, because that would just be mean, and would also ruin the plot, but we're not gonna talk about that reason. And then he's just kind of like, he's not death sentenced, but he is banished, meaning he can't come back. And it's also really awkward. There's really nothing good about banishment, except that it's not death. And so now, Romeo is banished. The first in many things that's gonna go wrong. Juliet is waiting for the night to come when Romeo is going to arrive. And then the nurse brings word of Tybalt's death and Romeo's banishment. But she's kind of like, oh, he's dead. And she doesn't reveal who. And Juliet assumes that she's talking about Romeo. And then she also mentions that Tybalt's dead. And she's like, what? My love and my kinsman dead? And then she's like, no, Romeo's only banished. Tybalt's dead for sure. And she's like, what the heck, nurse? What's wrong with you? And now she's really grieving. A lot. Because she can't really talk to Romeo. And Tybalt is gone. He's dead. And she starts talking about suicide. And the nurse is like, whoa, hold up. I can bring Romeo to you tonight. Okay? He'll just have to be banished by the morning, alright? Is that good enough? Okay? Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, good.